Jack Molinas. Jack Molinas had all the talent in the world. As a rookie with the Pistons in 1953, he was already making headlines as an all-star. But behind the scenes, he was doing something that would end his career before it really started. Molinas was betting on his own games. He'd bet on whether his team would win or lose, and then change the way he played to match the outcome he needed. Some nights he gave it his all. Other nights, he'd hold back just enough to shift the final score. This wasn't just some small-time thing. Molinas admitted he bet on around 10 games during that rookie season. And once the NBA found out, they didn't hesitate and banned him for life. But that was only the beginning. After the NBA, he moved on to something bigger and worse. Molinas teamed up with gamblers and the mafia, then approached college players, usually ones who needed money. He offered them cash to shave points, which basically means all they had to do was just make sure their team didn't win by too much. Say you're on a team that's supposed to win by 12 points. All you have to do is miss a couple shots or slow the game down so you only win by 7 points. The gamblers who bet the team would win by less than 12 points cashed in, and you quietly got your cut. Molinas used bribes, promises of future contracts, and sometimes even threats. The players were making a few $100s while he and his partners were making thousands. By 1961, the FBI got involved. The investigation exposed over 50 players from 27 schools. Molinas eventually served prison time, but even after he got out, the criminal activities didn't stop. He stayed involved in shady businesses and kept attracting attention. Then in 1975, he was shot and killed in his backyard. To this day, no one knows for sure who did it. Some say it was the mafia, but we'll never know. Michael Ray Richardson. Michael Ray Richardson was supposed to be that guy. Drafted 4th overall in 1978, they called him Sugar because his game was next level. He had the handles, the vision, the defense. By his second season, he was leading the league in assists and steals. But Michael had a serious cocaine addiction. His drug problem started small, partying here and there. But over time, it got darker. He'd show up to games looking spaced out. He was missing team flights, skipping practices, and his game started to slip. The Knicks traded him, hoping a new team would help. By 1986, the NBA had given him multiple chances. He had already been suspended 3 times for violating the league's drug policy. But the 4th time, that was it. But it didn't end there. Years later, he turned his life around, coached overseas, and even became a fan favorite in minor league basketball. Still, he was one of the first big-name players to get banned forever. Eddie Johnson. They called him Fast Eddie because of how quick he was on the court. Drafted by the Atlanta Hawks in 1977, he quickly made a name for himself. But off the court, Eddie was living a completely different life. He was addicted to drugs. In 1987, after a long list of incidents, the NBA finally banned him for life. After basketball, Johnson's legal troubles only got worse. Over the next 2 decades, he was arrested over 100 times for everything from drug possession to robbery. He was constantly in and out of jail. But in 2006, things took a much darker turn. That year, Eddie Johnson broke into an apartment in Florida, pretending he needed to use the phone. Once inside, he went Diddy and assaulted an 8-year-old girl. Johnson was also linked to another assault involving a minor earlier that same day. He was arrested, charged, and eventually sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. John Drew. John Drew was one of the best scorers of his time. He came into the NBA in 1974 and made an impact right away, averaging over 24 points per game in just his second season. He was a 2-time All-Star, known for his smooth jumper and ability to score from anywhere on the court. But behind the numbers, Drew was struggling. With drugs, cocaine to be specific. Throughout his career, Drew battled addiction. He tried to keep it quiet at first, but as the years went on, it got harder to hide. He missed practices, showed up late, and his performance became inconsistent. Teams noticed, and the media did too. He was sent to rehab multiple times, but every time he got clean, he seemed to fall right back in. By 1986, after his 3rd failed drug test, the NBA decided they had seen enough. Commissioner David Stern banned John Drew from the league permanently. Chris Washburn. Chris Washburn was supposed to be a star. In 1986, he was drafted 3rd overall by the Golden State Warriors. He was 6'11", strong, athletic, and considered one of the best big men in the country. But in reality, he was never ready for the league. From the moment he got to the NBA, Washburn struggled. He barely practiced, didn't take the game seriously, and had a drug problem. This really affected his performance. He was averaging just 3 points and 2 rebounds. Everyone was confused on why he was performing so badly, so they had him take a drug test, which he failed 3 times. And just like that, he was banned. After the NBA, he hit rock bottom fast. He battled addiction for years and ended up homeless. In one interview, he said he sold his last pair of shoes just to buy drugs. But years later, he finally got clean and started to rebuild. He did multiple interviews telling his story and warning other players. Roy Tarpley. Roy Tarpley had everything you'd want in a big man. He was 6'11", skilled, and could rebound like crazy. The Dallas Mavericks drafted him 7th overall in 1986, and by his second season, he was already averaging a double-double. In 1988, he won 6th Man of the Year and helped lead the Mavericks to the Western Conference Finals. At that point, it looked like Dallas had found their future star. But behind the scenes, Tarpley was fighting alcohol and cocaine addiction. He failed his first drug test in 1989, then got arrested for driving while intoxicated, not once, but multiple times. The NBA suspended him but gave him another chance. When he came back, he still showed flashes of greatness, but he just couldn't stay clean. Tarpley failed more drug tests, and in 1991, the NBA banned him. They gave him another shot in 1994. He tried to come back, worked out with the team, even suited up for a few games. But history repeated itself. After another failed test, the NBA banned him for life. After the ban, Tarpley continued to play basketball overseas, in Greece, China, and minor leagues in the US. But his career never reached what it could have been. He later sued the NBA, claiming they violated the Americans with Disabilities Act by banning him over a disease, which was addiction. The case was eventually settled out of court. In 2015, Roy Tarpley died of liver failure at just 50 years old. O.J. Mayo. O.J. Mayo was supposed to be a star. In high school, he was labeled a once-in-a-generation talent. By the time he hit USC, he was already on magazine covers and getting NBA attention. In 2008, he was drafted 3rd overall and came into the league with big expectations, and at first, he delivered. He averaged over 18 points per game as a rookie with the Memphis Grizzlies. He had the jump shot, the handles, the confidence, everything you'd expect from a future All-Star. But in 2016, the NBA dropped a shocking announcement. O.J. Mayo was banned for violating the league's anti-drug program. The league never publicly said what drug caused the ban, but it wasn't for marijuana, it was something more serious. And just like that, his career was over. After the ban, Mayo basically disappeared from the spotlight. He didn't do interviews, didn't make noise on social media. He played overseas, in Puerto Rico, Taiwan, and even China. Ralph Beard. Ralph Beard wasn't just a good player. He was a college basketball legend. At the University of Kentucky, he helped lead the team to 2 national championships in the late 1940s. He was also part of the U.S. basketball team that won gold at the 1948 Olympics. By the time he entered the NBA in 1949, he was already seen as a rising star. He played for the Pacers and made the All-Star team in just his second year. Everything pointed to a long, successful career, but in 1951, that all came crashing down. That year, Beard was caught up in what became one of the biggest scandals in basketball history, a college point shaving scheme. It turned out that while he was still playing at Kentucky, he and other players were paid by gamblers to control the outcome of games so bets could hit. Beard admitted he took $700, but he always claimed he never actually shaved points. He said he took the money, but once the game started, he still played to win. The NBA didn't care. The moment the scandal came out, Ralph Beard was banned for life, along with several other players involved. Richard Dumas. Richard Dumas was a natural. He was drafted by the Phoenix Suns, and when he finally hit the court, he didn't just meet expectations. He exploded. He averaged 15.8 points and helped the Suns reach the NBA Finals. But here's what most people didn't know. He had already been suspended once before he even played a game. Dumas missed his entire rookie season because he violated the NBA's drug policy. And even though he came back strong in his second year, the problems never really went away. After that breakout season, Dumas failed another drug test. The league suspended him again, and this time it was longer. His return wasn't the same. He bounced between teams, tried to stay clean, but never found his rhythm again. By the late 90s, he was out of the NBA completely. In the 2000s, Dumas got into legal trouble. In 2013, he was arrested for running a scam where he sold overpriced cleaning supplies to businesses that didn't even need them. He or an associate would call small companies, pretend to be a regular supplier, and trick whoever answered into confirming a fake order. For example, a small dentist's office might get a call saying, "Just confirming your usual order of industrial cleaner, same amount as last time," even if they never ordered it before. The receptionist might say yes, just to keep things moving. A week later, they'd get a box of cheap supplies with a huge bill. Some paid it just to avoid the hassle. Donald Sterling. Donald Sterling wasn't a player, but I feel like he belongs here. Donald was actually the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers for over 3 decades. The players and coaches loved him. But in 2014, everything changed. A secretly recorded tape came out of him speaking to his girlfriend. In it, he told her not to post photos online with black people and not to bring them to Clippers games. The audio spread fast. The comments were racist, ugly, and impossible to ignore, especially in a league where the majority of players are black. The backlash hit instantly. Players were furious. Coaches were furious. Fans were disgusted. There was talk of boycotts. Even Clippers players started warming up with their shirts turned inside out to hide the team's logo. The NBA had no choice but to act fast. Just days after the recordings went public, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver held a press conference. He announced that Donald Sterling was banned from the NBA for life. He couldn't attend games and won't be involved in any league business ever again. On top of that, the NBA forced him to sell the Clippers, a team he had owned since 1981.